Now, Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta has been named in a report investigating post-election violence and human rights abuses. There was widespread violence in Kenya in 2007 and 2008. At least 1,500 people died and more than 500,000 were left homeless. Kenya's Truth and Reconciliation Commission says the president helped to plan and fund the violence. He denies those allegations. Well, for more on this, let's cross live now to Peter Greste in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi. Peter, so what are the key findings of this report from the Commission?
Well, as you've already mentioned, those findings regarding the post-election violence have been quite startling and I think have caught a lot of attention here. But the report extends all the way back to Kenyan independence in 1963, and it accuses the Kenyatta government, the Moi government and the Kibaki government of all being involved, of all being responsible for some pretty gross violations of human rights. That's every single administration since independence. It talks about assassinations, unlawful detention, systematic and widespread torture. It talks about economic crimes and grand corruption. But it also goes on to say that at least 40% of the abuses involved land. And I think this is one of the reasons why land has been such a contentious issue. It's been at the very heart of so many of the abuses, so many of the disputes here, and why we saw so many of those problems back in 2007, 2008.
Given those findings that you've just given us, Peter, did the Commission make any recommendations?
It did quite a number of recommendations. It spoke of the need to set up a reparation fund to help compensate victims. It called for the government to apologise for abuses of the past. It called for the security services to apologise. It called for the British government to apologise. It also called on the judiciary themselves to apologise for failing to act on impunity. Now, the other interesting thing here is that what we've seen publicly is a response from people who have been saying that, look, apologies simply aren't enough, that we need to see justice, and I think that is one area where the debate will continue from here on.
Peter, this has been a rather wide-ranging Commission investigation. I mean, how credible has the whole process been?
This is an interesting one. This is something that a lot of human rights groups have been already commenting on, although they have been quick to point out that it is a massive report, 4 very large volumes indeed, and they still haven't had time to go through it all. But let me give you some idea of what's being said on social media, some of the early public responses. And a lot of people have been picking up that fact that the recommendations have called very strongly for apologies, but not a great deal in terms of prosecutions, not a great deal in terms of new information that came out of this. One of the other things that has been very much in the public eye has been the role of the chairman, Bethel Kiplagat himself. He was actually implicated and mentioned adversely in the assassination of one of Daniel Arap Moi's foreign ministers. He was serving as the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs at the time, and so he's been actually mentioned in one of the cases that was investigated by the Commission itself, and has also been accused of being involved in some of those questionable land deals and corrupt land deals. So at its very core, the credibility, the integrity of this Commission has been called into question. I think we need to see just how the public digests it over the coming days, weeks and months, and also how the government responds to those recommendations. But I think there is some public scepticism about the credibility of the report. But having said that, human rights groups also point out that the fact that this commission happened at all, the fact that the victims were able to speak publicly, have their grievances recorded and documented in great detail, will go a long way towards doing the job of reconciliation that this country so badly needs.
Peter, thank you.